Hello, this is Cecil Sunkir, and I have a PvP build that revolves around using Charge-a-Lots and Archons off of a DT expand. So, let's dive right in. The DT expand is good only if you use it a certain way. You want to use the Dark Templar and try to sneak them in his base and get probes if he moves out on the map with his army. If he doesn't, then you don't need to do that, unless you know he doesn't have a robotics facility. Perhaps you saw a Phoenix or something like that. So I usually like to do this style of play with a 3-stalker opening, which is what you're seeing right now. Gateway, gateway, stalker, chrono, chrono, double stalker, and that's that. And then here's where it starts getting interesting. Twilight Council already, ordering a Zealot and a Sentry behind my 3 Stalkers just in case there's some sort of aggression. Keep the Stalkers near your ramp, looking for proxy pylons. Don't see any. Nexus goes down at the same time the Dark Shrine goes down, at the same time Warp Gate finishes. Then right after that you need a robotics facility. So yes, you are going in 2 tech paths while taking a fast expansion off of just these few units. It is very greedy, but it's taking advantage of the time in which your opponent is likely just warping in some stuff out of their gateways that aren't going to help them at all. And they don't have an observer out quite yet on your side of the map in order to know what's going on. So basically you're taking advantage of the time your stalkers can deny probes for scouting info from your opponent. Right when your observer comes out, the opponent's observer is very likely in your base somewhere. So if you could spot it like I did, I'm just waiting for it, I'm going to kill it. I chronoed out my observer to kill it. Snipe it, and proceed on with your build. You want to have a good amount of gateways. I usually like to go for 4 after my Nexus finishes. And this is actually pretty uncommon, but good players are going to do it once they see your Nexus. They're going to just attack you with like an immortal and whatever they just have. Just some sort of ragtag team. If that happens, you should either sneak a Dark Templar into their base, which would be really good because he doesn't even have an observer right now. I'd get a few probe kills, disorient him, cut into his mining time, and disorient his attack. Or you can warp in a couple Dark Templar at your own base and attack here. I know he doesn't have an observer, so I sniped it because I sniped it. So I was going for Dark Templar in my own base. He luckily got a force field up just before my Dark Templar got down the ramp. Probably should have waited for the pylon to finish and warp them in on low ground. So what I ended up doing is warping in a Archon to break the pylon, and then I warp in Zealots from these gateways here. And push him out the top of my ramp. Now suddenly I have about the same amount of food, exactly the same here. I have more probes and a more diverse tech path than my opponent, all because I took advantage of the timing in the mid-game, early mid-game, when I felt like my opponent was not going to be aggressive, and I was able to deny all probes around the map. After you saturate your mineral line, you need 2 more geysers, and then the rest of the game is really actually pretty simple. You just get a lot of gateways. I think I have 6 or 7, maybe 8 at the end of this game. Get charge and a warp prism. That way you can have a very strong push at the front of his ramp and a warp prism in the back. Dark Templar drops are very, very good. Very, very strong. You can see some stalkers back here just in case there's a warp prism. I felt like there might have been a warp prism because that's about the time mine finished. So if I have one, then he can definitely have one. And then I move out with my whole army. I go around his tower because I don't want him to see where my army is. And I have this warp prism ready to move into his mineral line at any moment. Now I start attacking these rocks because I don't know where his army is. I figure if I kill the rocks, then great. Now there's 2 ramps for me to enter if I need to. If he moves his army over to start shooting at my Zealots, then I know where his army is. So either way, it's a win-win situation for me. So right when I see that he's shooting Zealots, I pull away from the rocks, bring in the Warp Prism, and now I have Dark Templar in his base, killing his probes. I wait just a moment till I feel like his army would be up the ramp, if he were sending it up the ramp, which he is, and I target down the Nexus. Lift everything back up into the Warp Prism, you don't need to throw it away. After he loses the Nexus, immediately run away. You can actually see I have a queue of attack the Nexus and then go all the way back up into like a random spot in the middle of the map. Get out of there. Now that I've killed his Nexus, he's either going to bombard across the map and hit me as hard as he can, which is what he ends up doing, and what most players will end up doing, or they'll cut their losses, take another Nexus, and then play from behind. If they bombard across the map, all you have to do is get as much stuff as you can and try to engage in the open if possible. And of course, his army's back at its natural, so I go back into the field line end of main. Sniping down tech structures, awesome thing to do. So now the timing attack with all these gateways has succeeded. All his bases are gone. All I have to do is crush this army once and for all. I'll secure myself a victory. Here you can see the Zealots slam into his expensive Stalkers. All his Zealots died to my couple Archons. And my Immortals are going to be able to clean up the last two Colossus. And that is going to be GG. Here's the second replay I'm going to show you guys. Doing the exact same opening as last time. Doing the True Stalker opening, except this time I'm going to cut the Zealot and the Sentry and just play greedier. And I did that because I was more comfortable. What I saw was him playing pretty greedy. Not a whole lot of chrono on the Warp Gate, 2 gas. I just felt like he was going to go for like a fast robo, which is what he did end up doing. And in response, I spent 100 less and 100 less on that Zealot Sentry, 150 actually. That way my Nexus is a little quicker and my Dark Shrine is a little quicker as well. When you're doing this, it's important to have a probe on their side of the map so that you can place proxy pylons. This way you can warp into Dark Templar, send it into their mineral line in the event that you see them just bombarding across the map with Immortals or Colossus or whatever. As that's what the Dark Templar are best for. Again, chronoing out the Observer. A couple sentries is very good on this map. It'll let you defend, like if he just attacks me with one base and a bunch of stuff. Two force fields on this ramp can help me just win the game. So 2 sentries is really good for Shakur's Plateau, Ohana. Again, just as your mineral line saturated, take your double geysers. Then after that, you're going to get a lot of gateways, and from your lots of gateways, you're going to be able to warp in stuff with the Warp Prism in the back of his base while attacking the front for a very strong timing attack. There's a little bit of shenanigans going on over here. I found a pylon, so I'm killing it. He actually saw the Dark Shrine with his Observer. If I placed my Dark Shrine a bit over here, perhaps hit it, he wouldn't have seen it, and he has a cannon prepared. But you'll end up seeing I win this game, despite him already having detection set up. I have 52 probes, he has only 36. He had to cut out a whole bunch of probes in order to get this pylon, the Colossus tech up, and everything. So I'm definitely ahead on resources simply because my build is just stronger. The style of play is stronger in the mid game. So now I've got this gigantic concave set up, just kind of waiting to see if he's going to attack into it. I try to put a pylon over here so that I can warp in stuff with the Observer. But as you can see, he's just being diligent with his defense, not letting me get an inch. So I figure, okay, and this is what you should do as well if you're in this position. Right at about this time, his Colossus count is starting to get scarily high. If he gets a couple more Colossus, he's probably just going to be able to win the game because I can't engage him whatsoever. So what I do is I decide to bust up his ramp and trade armies as best I can, and then I'm going to run away before I end up losing everything. That way I can keep his army small and manageable. At the same time, I'm going to take a third. So here we go, going with the attack. End up getting no Colossus, but I traded a whole lot of army with him, and now he has this very, very small amount of units. So before he can feel comfortable moving across the map, he's going to have to wait a little while and get up some more of his supply. Spend these resources on stuff. And now I'll be taking a third base shortly, stopping any shenanigans going on. He's got a few more units, so now he feels comfortable moving out on the map. However, my income is just going to be way higher than his because I've had so many more probes for so long. However, I don't quite feel comfortable engaging all of these Colossus. My army is comprised mostly of Zealots, and those will die to the Colossus very quickly. So what I'm going to try to do is use this Warp Prism and buy as much time as I can to get up a deadlier force, perhaps even mine from my Nexus a little bit. And you'll see that's exactly what happens here. He ends up pulling his whole army back, and I take advantage of that and move out in the middle, see if there's anything to pick off. And there is! I end up getting a free Colossus, and since his whole army is still in his main, I go ahead and target the Nexus now, just like last game, and run away. I ended up losing a few Zealots and taking quite a bit of damage on the other ones. But now, I was trying to take my third, I ended up canceling it so I could warp in more stuff. I got 2 Stargates so that I could start some Void Ray production. I didn't actually expect to kill his Nexus, and if I didn't kill his Nexus yet, he likely wouldn't be attacking across the map right now. So I was actually expecting the game to go on a little longer, and I was going to get some Void Rays out, so that way I could deal with this Colossus count. Because if I hadn't killed his Nexus, this Colossus count would be even higher. Although, I do what I can anyways. Get a gigantic concave, wait for him to go into the center of it, and my food advantage just is too much for his Colossus to make a difference, so try to get the Void Ray on the Colossus if you can. And that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the DT Expand style, please feel free to ask me in the Hotkev forums, and I hope you enjoyed the video.